Hi, Awesomes. All right, so in this video, we're going to talk about the rhetorical analysis sample papers. I have both of them pulled up here. A glance into the truth, so what we call like the B plus, A minus type paper. And then what would we call this one? Just as it says B level, it's like a B minus ish. Okay. So the reason I use these, I think they do a really, I think they help us visualize, if you will, what the two different authors are doing. And so I've highlighted in this one the stronger of the two, where there were some really good sentences, and then also kind of drawing our attention to where they are including, everything that the rhetorical analysis ask us to, right? The thing I like about this paper, she just dives right in, right? Americans are faced with a tough decision to make before November, right? So the article that she chose, right, must have something to do with an election, okay? So she kind of sets it up really well. And then before she gets into saying what she's going to do, analyze this particular New York Times article, right? Gives the author name and then says this kind of her, excuse me again, her overall claim, right? Her thesis, what she's going to do. So the only thing that I think that's really missing here is to say whether or not she's arguing for that it's effective or not. You don't find out to the last paragraph. So don't forget, your thesis should have a stronger claim, at least in a rhetorical analysis, to give the audience an idea where you're headed, so that everything that they read from there makes sense. Okay. I like the fact, though, that she did mention a rebuttal argument, and then she says, she's using the opportunity to refute, which is refutation is a part of rebuttal. Recall from the argument types video, Trump administration, other meeting sources, et cetera. And then she's providing that background information about it, right? So here is what the article states, right? Where you have to kind of summarize the article, right? So she summarizes it really well, followed by the rhetorical situation. So here she has the rhetorical situation, talking about the audience, give us an idea of, the timeliness. Obviously, in this hand, we could already kind of get a sense, right? Because it has to do with the mail-in ballots and voting, right, during this time, right? And it's timely, right? Makes herself credible, right? So she's going through methodically, very, I think it flows it flows well. Can't talk. It's smooth. And I like the way that she chose to kind of do this differently and say, quote, makes herself credible, instead of saying the author has ethos, right? Kind of makes it a little bit more interesting, jazzes it up a little bit, makes it interesting to read, uses words like trustworthy, things that have to do with the essence of what ethos is versus just saying it's ethos. She uses emotion and then kind of dives in here a little bit more to talking about pathos. It's a good paragraph on pathos. It's missing what the emotion is. What is the feeling? She right there. If she just mentioned a specific type of emotion or feeling, an appeal to logic is really strong. It talks about the reasoning. She's claiming this is her strongest appeal throughout the article. I do like how, if you notice when you read through this, from paragraph to paragraph, she's able to. So, okay, here's what the author's doing well. Here's what the author's not doing so well. Like I said, the only thing missing then in that case would have been, it'd be nice to have known from the start, right from the beginning. Are we arguing for overall rhetorical effectiveness or not, right? So it kind of helps us then kind of see where's. So if she's saying she maybe didn't hit it out of the park, with emotion, then it kind of gives me, okay, this is one of the things she's kind of using to argue that's why it's not effective, or the other way. This particular student found the thing that stood out to her was that there were logical fallacies, so she added logical fallacies in there. I'm not. You can add logical fallacies if you want to, but it's not as much a part of the assignment. And then So she says she effectively fulfills her purpose using these things, and then based her credibility. In conclusion, all right, so here we get the author does an adequate job of educating the readers of misconceptions of mail-in voting. However, in spite of all that, she didn't persuade the audience to vote. She didn't speak on the importance of mail-in voting. Middle of a pandemic, there are many routes the authors could have taken, but didn't. Okay, all that's perfectly fine. I want to make sure to reiterate: you can poke holes. Okay, that's okay, right? Like I said, the only thing that's in my feedback in this particular draft to the student was we need to make sure that we are very, very clear on how we're arguing for or against. Get a sense in the final paragraph that, okay, she could have done better, right? There's other things she could have done, and that's totally fine. You can argue that all day long if you want to. I'm totally fine with that. You don't have to agree. You don't have to assume. Okay, don't make the assumption that every article or the article that you've chosen that your author or authors just because it got published doesn't mean it's rhetorically effective. Okay, so keep that in mind. And like I said, make sure that it's clear at the beginning, right? So what I like about this article, this paper on the article that is being that they are rhetorically analyzing, is I like their claim is really strong. Argue that the two authors effectively use rhetorical concepts such as different types of arguments, specifically proposal, persuasive appeals, ethos, pathos, and logos, to appeal to their audience and bring attention to the ongoing crisis that they just talked about here. And I think in this case, it is the Flint water crisis. I love that. It's very, very, very strong. And it goes through fairly well. I think there's a few missing items out here, but it's still pretty good. I mean, for a first draft on rhetorical analysis, this could be a tough paper to write. I also want to point out here, I love this, a lot of the support, and all these quotes are coming from the article, right? So when you are writing this, when you have your works cited page, it should just be the article, right? Right, and you're quoting from and bringing in this student did a really good job of bringing in a lot of evidence and support from the article. So don't forget to have that aspect of your rhetorical analysis. But for the most part, the student does a fairly decent job of going through these. But again, here, right, we're talking about heart-aching personal stories, and these kind of things, but we still don't quite get really specific. Okay, what's the emotion that we're trying to get? The authors added this in hoping their audience could feel sympathy. Okay, all right, right there. Hey, boom, that's it. It needs to come up here though, so we understand what's the emotion, right? What's going on here? So those are the little things to kind of think about when you're writing rhetorical analysis. Make sure you start with a good introduction, give us an idea of where a little bit of the article. What the author seems to be doing, kind of set it up, and then go through, right? You go through your summary, what type of argument it is, right? And those kind of things are hit and miss as you go through this particular one, because they seem to be different types of arguments, specifically proposal. It's mentioned, but not really explicated. And those things are kind of listed for the rhetorical analysis in that order because they kind of build upon one another. So I would encourage you to keep that in mind as you write yours. Okay, and that's an overall review there. Kind of gives you some idea. I encourage you to read through these, and for another reason, give you some ideas of how to think about talking about these different concepts for rhetorical analysis.